Hello.
Hello?
Hello. What's up, bro?
Hey, this is the What's Up Bro podcast. We talk about movies, TV, geek stuff, news, pop culture, and it's funny, motherfucker! With nary signs. You know the question is not on here that I could have said yes to would have been a cock ring. I'm like, oh, I've done that. Jeff.
It was called Bibbidi Bobbidi Doorknob.
Stephanie.
The only reason he was invited was because he was dating my friend. It was like a pity invite. And he was like one of the first people to get there. What a loser.
And we have Missy.
Yes, I'm here.
Is also here.
Missy is also here. A girl has no last name.
Not anymore, am I right? Huh? And special correspondence with Steph Mayer Sr.
Yeah, I don't have to look cute for you.
And this is the What's Up Bro podcast.
That's how winning is done.
Hey, I'm Dave Chappelle, and this is What's Up, Bro.
Can I tell a story on air? Are we recording?
Welcome to the What's Up Bro podcast. It's been a long time since I left you with this dope. What? I am Nary Science.
No, we don't need to do that.
With me, as used to be, is Stephanie Mayer Sr. No, she's not here. Sorry. Got the wrong Stephanie.
I got excited for a second. I was like, where is she?
No, I would love to have her on, and she's always asking to be on. But between you, me, and everybody on the planet, Australia's internet blows, and every time I have her on, the connection is just hot garbage. It's not her fault.
Is it because Australia's internet blows or just her?
No, Australia's internet legit blows. It's one of the worst in the world. Yeah, it's one of the worst in the world. And then we try all different sorts.
Like statistical? Or
Yeah.
Is that an observation you've made?
No. If you watch Adam Ruins Everything, you will know things. With me, as usual, is Stephanie Ulloa, even though that's not what the Zoom says. And
what does my Zoom say? I don't even know.
Your Zoom, you should be able to see your own name on the screen. It's on the screen.
I don't see it.
It says Stephanie from... That's what it says.
Oh,
you know, if you turn your phone sideways, you can see everybody.
Your maiden name and your still name. Right. My legal name.
If you turn your phone sideways and then you swipe to the right, you could see everybody.
I did that. But then, hold on. I don't like this. Hang on. Technology.
And we have Missy. Missy's here.
My pop socket this way. Okay,
Yeah, she is. Missy's here.
All right. So it's been a long time since we've done an episode, right? WuBro, at least. And I don't even know. Is there anything that's happened? Has there anything that's even happened that we could talk about on a podcast?
I mean, I don't know. I've just been sitting at home for weeks on end. I don't know about you guys.
I've been in my bunker. So that's where
Good place to be. You're just checking. You're just inspecting it. So
just inspecting it just to see how the previous owner left it. It's in awful condition, by the way. Awful condition.
But you hadn't been in there since for 8 years prior to that.
Right. So I'm just,
Okay, no, just making sure we're on the same page. That's how one does.
I don't think Mary's bunker's been used by anyone for quite some time, though. Right.
Right. Well,
I don't even think they did. Did they use it? I think the last time. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but the last time I want to guess was 9/11.
I think you might be correct, and 9/11 was,
Let's see if Wikipedia has a page about it.
I think the last time that it was used was when the aliens came back after Independence Day, like part 2. That was the last time.
Shut up! That wasn't for us, listener, or you.
That was for my dog.
That was for your dog.
Because my dogs love to do this thing where they fight right next to me. Oh.
It's better than the alternative.
I'm sorry, what?
You have yappy dogs. You have it like small. Like you could tell that the dog is small.
I have one small dog. I have one medium/large dog.
I think I was right per Wikipedia, and Wikipedia has all the facts. September 11th, Vice President Dick Cheney, Lynn Cheney, Condoleezza Rice, and other people that I'm not going to list, including a U.S. Army major, were evacuated from their office into the bunker. President Bush was in Florida at the time of the attack. And then the very next line item...
President Bush was reading a book to child
children.
to the children when he got the news that the World Trade Center.
And he continued reading
then
that book.
And he did, because the show must go on.
And then the very next line item is May 29th, 2020. President, not going to say his name, retreated to the bunker during the night at the beginning of the George Floyd protest. So you see 9/11 and protest.
So that's right. Anyway, so there's a lot that's been happening. We've
There's
kind
a
of
lot to unpack here.
a lot to unpack. A lot of serious stuff, a lot of worrisome stuff, and then I promise we'll get to the entertainment news, which is like, hey, this is also fun. But I would be remiss and it would be wrong for us not to talk about what's happening in the world right now. So I like the fact that Stephanie is literally recording as she's laying down. It's like we caught her on the way to bed. Like, hey, you're about to go to sleep. Can you want to do a podcast? And she's like, sure. It's not like we talked about this for hours before this, but that's fine. That's cool. It's cool.
I'm just on my couch, and normally I go record in the office, but you sent me the link on my phone, and I didn't have to get up from my couch, so I was like, all right, this is where I stay. I live here now.
Anyways, so there's a lot that's happened. There has been the coronavirus, which we briefly talked about the last time we were on. The last time we did a podcast, we talked about the coronavirus slightly, a bit. Me and Ari Spears, my friend Ari Spears, did an episode about the quarantine life that was prior to the George Floyd murder. Right? We could call it a murder, right? Because that's what it was. It's a murder. It wasn't like a mishap. It was a fucking murder.
Yes.
So it was before the George Floyd murder. I don't want to call it an incident because that would be insulting to him.
It is also an incident, but that severely downplays what actually.
Yeah, it was a murder. We all saw a murder We all saw a murder happen live. Like we saw it. It was a weird. So
I haven't seen the video. Is that bad?
I haven't seen the entire video because I saw, I'm not exaggerating, about 40 seconds of it, maybe a minute of it, and I was like, this is fucking awful. The day it happened, the video was released instantly, and I say that as if there was oh no, we have to wait till Tuesday when all the new movies come out on iTunes. No, it happened, and it was posted live, and then it got shared, but that same day, I watched about a minute of it, and I looked about how much time was left, and it was so infuriating and so triggering and so sad that I was like, I can't watch 9 more minutes of this. It's like I just can't. I'm also the same kind of person that whenever there's a story of that involves children, like there was a local story, I don't know how much this got out into the national news, but there was a local woman who drowned her child recently, 9-year-old autistic child. Yeah, it was an autistic child, and she drowned him in a canal here in Miami, and I fought tooth and nail not to know the details. I'm like, please don't tell me the details. I'm like, oh, there's a 9-year-old died, and I was like, I don't tell me the details. I don't want. And it was so difficult because everywhere in my social media, since it happened locally, it was exploding everywhere, and so I found out the details, but I still haven't seen the video. Which is, there's also a video of that, and I'm just, so again, same thing. I get it. It triggers me. It hurts me. I get heartbroken. I cry at fucking Kleenex commercials. So if I cry at that, a fucking real life tragedy is gonna, of course, impact me. So I stayed away from watching the complete video. And then later on, I found out that he cried for his mom, which broke me. Like I was like fucking in tears hearing it from somebody else. Like somebody else told me that, and I couldn't fucking hold back the tears. So he got murdered. Everybody said, fuck that. That ain't right. And started protesting. And then that's when the fun happened. By the fun, I mean, it escalated quickly. So you guys all know this. Everybody knows this. I don't know why I'm giving a fucking recap of the world. Like if there's somebody who woke up from a coma.
Everybody just woke up from a slumber.
Like they woke up from a coma, and the first thing they thought is, well, let me listen to WuBro. Let's see what's happened. Like, you guys know what the fuck is happening. Like, that's the first thing. Like, oh, I've been in a coma for 3 months. what's going on with What's Up, Bro? The podcast. I need to know what's happening. So shit happened. Everything's been going pretty nuts. And I can say this because I've talked to.
By the way, like all of this going on, still while there is a pandemic.
Yeah.
Happening. Like the pandemic, like it hasn't gone anywhere. It's still a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. So I could say what I'm about to say. I could say I feel wholeheartedly because I feel like I've talked to everybody in the network about this, in the Geek Bro network, and we are all like 1,000% behind the Black Lives Matter movement. We are all 1,000% in that shit needs to change. And I haven't spoken to anybody. And again, it's not like I'm quizzing people like, hey, so here's a multiple choice questionnaire, and let me know how you like. It's not, but just in talking to everybody, whether it be in group chats or individually, there's not anybody that I've talked to that's part of the network that said, oh, you know what, all lives matter. There's nobody has said that shit. So yeah, it's a pretty crazy time. So at the time of this recording, yesterday there was a bunch of police chiefs. Did you see that? What happened in New York City?
Yep.
There were.
I was just I was watching the video on silent, like on Twitter, because I don't want to. I love New York. But yeah, that was awful.
Yeah, they're saying he got very impassioned, and he was saying like we're being treated like dogs and animals, and
Hold on 1 second.
But he also in that rant that was recorded. I think he kind of proves the point. Like like in his outrage, you're proving the root of the problem. And I think.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
So I think what he was saying in the thing is that that the media is villainizing them, that they are being treated unfairly, that it's disgusting, and they don't like to be objectified by this information or by what the media is portraying or whatever. But I would say to that, I don't think African Americans enjoy being vilified and brutalized either.
Yeah, which is my whole thing. Like everything he said was actual, and it made sense. It was like we shouldn't vilify police officers. In my opinion, we shouldn't vilify all police officers.
Okay, aren't like a lot of your friends cops?
A lot of my best friend is a cop. I legitimately have 3 friends within my close inner circle of friends that are police officers, detectives, not just in Miami but in Houston and different cities. So I even before that, like it's, you know what I mean, that's like the equivalent of saying like women deserve equal treatment because I have a daughter. Like no, they deserve equal treatment because they deserve equal treatment.
I'm just saying like
not to you. I'm talking to the audience. I'm telling the audience, like even if it wasn't for that, I believe that we need police officers. And with that said, we need good police officers. They do a job that I would not be able to do. My best friend is a detective now, and he tells me all the time, like when he first started for 10 years, he was a uniform officer where he would go to domestic violence cases, and like he would do all this, like, and I would never in my mind, like just hearing the stories from 10 years, be like, like there's not one time where I was like, oh, that sounds cool. There was every single time I was like, I would not be there. I'm just not cut that way. I'm not cut out that way where I'm like, I would not voluntarily go like, yeah, that seems good. Let me go help out. Like I'm the kind of guy that's like, I don't know, maybe she's into that kind of shit. That's not your business. Keep fucking moving. Which is awful because that goes to show you that they do a job that I can't do, that's why they're essential. With that said, I will say that, I'm not against cops. But the whole thing, everything he said in the press conference was right. They shouldn't be vilified. They shouldn't be like the actions of that asshole in Minneapolis should not take away the shine of the badge that he's wearing. He's right. However, you're going through a week. You've been going through 10 days of this shit. you haven't been going through fucking hundreds of years of systemic fucking racism where you've been vilified, where you've been the media's like black on black crime and fucking and you, like all of this shit. It's been fucking hundreds of years. So
and I would also sorry.
No, you were saying.
I would also add to that there has always been outrage when these videos come out, and there's always been the hashtags and the outrage, spearheaded obviously like, primarily by the African American community, rightfully so. But I don't think that there have been this level of consequence to this reaction. I don't think that in the past, at least from my perspective, my very privileged perspective, because I get to be a spectator in this, and you know, when it comes to this issue, I can support and I can contribute and I can protest, but I don't experience it, so I'm still an outsider. But I would say that I don't recollect in my memory that there would be this level of overhaul and consequence so rapidly.
Can I tell you? My opinion on this is because of the pandemic. It's because everybody's been at home. There has been no sports to fucking distract us. There has been no movies to distract us. There has been no concerts. There's been fucking nothing to distract us. It's not been like.
It also has to, and also like because of the pandemic, there's also like all we're doing is being on our phone. So like information, we get information almost immediately as it is anyway. And when this happened, it kind of just the straw that broke the camel's back, and it was not circumstantial in the sense of like you don't know, but circumstantial.
But
in
it
the
was
sense of,
perfect
this is what we were. Yeah, exactly. It was like the perfect storm of everything just kind of happening at the right time.
Because I think that aside from the tragedy that the pandemic has brought in its own right, obviously, I think that this has been a time for those of us that haven't been directly affected by coronavirus in terms of job losses or having personally knowing people that have been sick and or died from this. As far as I'm concerned, it's been a season of like sit still. And like, if you have a problem sitting still, this has been the worst time of your life. But even for people like me, right?
Holler at your boy,
right? But even for people that I would identify as an introvert, where I don't have a problem sitting still, like I'm cool. I'm getting to my wit's end. Like I'm already scratching at the walls because get me out, right? So I think that. On top of which, like we were already, it wasn't just George Floyd. There were, and I'm embarrassed that I don't know the other names.
Breonna Taylor.
There were 3 other incidents.
Breonna Taylor was one.
Breonna Taylor and the kid that was running.
The kid that was jogging.
And then that's just said his name. And I think there was a 4th case, but I don't remember his name. I mean, it happens often.
But those 3 happened within several
back
weeks
to
of
back.
each other. Yeah.
And you add that to a community that is normally on any day, if everything was quote unquote normal right now, they would still be dealing with this shit. Not just on a like neighborhood level, but systemically. Like the system is designed to perpetuate this sense of otherness to this entire community that this country has pretty much was built on their back by their hands with their blood. And so, but you add that to the fact that the coronavirus was disproportionately affecting African American, the African American community, impoverished communities, etc. It was that. I think that's really what contributed in the fact that it picked up steam from what Seth said, that it's because we have nothing to do but watch the news and sit still. And then from the community perspective, I would imagine it was like a perfect storm for this to gain the traction that it has, because again, there's nothing to do but to be aware of what's happening.
Can you believe that for the day that that he passed, the day that he was murdered, I don't want to say passed away, the day he was murdered, for like a few hours before that, the world was up in an uproar because this white lady was talking to this dude that was bird watching in a racist way. Like that was
that
video was absurd.
That video, that is the most Karen video of all time.
Calling all Karens. One of my the Karens in the last couple of weeks have really come to play. I mean, I
think there's been a call to arms. I think there's been a call to arms for all Karens.
And they're like,
exactly. Like, Karens assemble.
Like the bat signal, like the fucking
the
symmetrical haircut. Yeah, the fucking Kate Gosselin haircut signal was flashed in the night, and out they came. Because I started following this Instagram page called Karen's Going Wild. And it is, like, sometimes I just sit there for, like, an hour and just watch videos of these crazy bitches. Just, like, going off on people for no fucking reason. There was a lady, I saw a video of when you see the lady in the gas station.
Yes, that's one of my favorites. That's the new one that just happened, like, 2 days ago.
Yeah, like 2 days ago, she was talking to this woman who was Native American.
First of all, wait. Can we talk about... So, Mister, you haven't seen the video?
No.
All right, so this lady's at a gas station, and she says she's the manager. She said she's the manager and said, you get out of here, don't serve her. Tells the cashier, don't serve her because of her language. Get out of here, and then tells her to go back to her fucking country. Right?
And she's Native American.
She's Native American, right? But that's not the point. That's not the point. Then the guy filming is also commenting. He's also like, "What are you talking about? What you can't say racist shit like that. You can't." She turns to him and goes, "Now you gotta leave because you called me a bitch." And he was like, "No, I didn't." And he didn't. Like he fucking didn't. He's like, "You gotta leave because you can't use language like that in here. You're out of here, don't you?" And so then she started going at the girl again, and the girl was like, "Fuck you, leave me alone, whatever, racist bitch." And then she was like, "Where were you born? Where were you born?" She was like, "I was born here, motherfucker, in the United States of America, bitch. Where the fuck were you born? Where was your ancestors from? Where are your ancestors from?" And she fucking went to go grab her. Karen went to go grab her. Karen, the young girl went to walk away. Karen went to grab her arm, and the fastest fucking reaction you can see, she slapped the fuck out of Karen. Like her glasses came off, the whole fucking thing. Bitch slapped her.
You heard it.
It was glorious. Glorious.
Like slow, like the Ross sitting on the couch, like slow clapping, like that.
I think I posted it on my Twitter, if I'm not mistaken. I think I retweeted it.
I've seen it from you now that I think about it.
I think I posted it. I remember because again, there's so much social media going around, and I'm on social media so much. Not that makes a difference. I like to blame the pandemic, but really, I'm really on social media.
I was gonna say, how is this different from your normal life, except you're not like in the middle of the?
I'm with my kids. That's it. That's the only thing. I'm with my kids. There's a lot less masturbating going on in my life right now because I'm with my kids. Where is this?
Just gonna pivot back to the Karen in the park for a second. I think the most, like, for people who want to understand what other people mean when they say this is a systemic problem, this is what white privilege is, I guess, not the systemic, but what white privilege is. It's something that a lot of African American there's a lot of African American leaders who have pointed out, like, the essence of privilege in that video is that she knew that by her calling the cops and identifying her aggressor, quote unquote, as a large black man, she knew what she was doing with that. She was intentionally power tripping on him to the point of, like, not just a power trip, but I'm going to put your life in danger.
Yep.
Because I'm a white woman and I said that a black man is attacking me. I think, I want to say, I'm guessing maybe 60, 70 years ago, or maybe less than that, if a white woman accused a black man of anything, he was lynched. That was it. There was no trial. There was no interrogation. There was no whatever. That is the power.
This was also a woman that voted for Obama, voted for Hillary, was a registered Democrat.
I was going to say, how do you know who she voted for? Jesus, that's a fucking deep dive.
Because that's all public record. and that's all been revealed.
Is that public record? Like who you vote for is public record?
Yeah.
Oh shit! All right, well I gotta stop
I'll show
telling.
you how to find it if you want to see.
I gotta stop telling people I voted for the Republicans just to seem more in the middle. Every once in a while, when somebody goes, "You vote down party line," I go, "No, I don't. I voted for Republicans in the past." No, I haven't. But I've totally said that just to seem more equal. And no, I haven't. I have not done that. So.
Well, I think that the thing. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Steph. No, you go.
The point I was trying to make is that this is somebody that like is probably one of these people that claims that she wasn't racist because she voted for Obama and she's a Democrat and she is XYZ, all these other things. And it's like, it just comes to show that like, it takes you to just, even if you don't necessarily, he didn't do anything other than tell you to like leash your dog because you had to, like it was a park rule. And all he did was tell you leash your dog and you didn't like it because she runs a hedge fund. So you're probably some high-powered privilege as fuck.
Well, correction. She ran a hedge fund.
Correct.
Because she got fired quick, fast, and in a fucking hurry.
They took the dog away. And they took the dog
No, she gave the dog up on her own. Because she knew. No, lady. She went and returned it back to the animal shelter which she adopted it from. Yeah, she went and she delivered because she knew, she saw the white writing on the wall. She fucking knew that they were coming for the dog.
She fucking dragged the dog, like on top of everything. She's dragging the fucking dog. That poor dog.
Well, to Stephanie's point, where she's, she has public record of that she's, a Democrat and her voting record. I think that this speaks also to the fact that we need to, as citizens of this beautiful country, beautiful broken country, we need to acknowledge that we are at a point, we are at a brink in our history where we need to put the party lines down.
This isn't, but this is not even, this should not be political. It's not be political.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was trying to
get
to.
It's a black and white matter of right. And like, no pun intended by saying that at all. But like, it's
what's right and what's wrong.
Something is wrong. It has been systematically wrong for years. And it's not right. And there are people that are defending this shit. And have been defending this shit for centuries because they're uncomfortable with the way that things are run.
Correct.
Because they've had a position of power for the fucking
for their entire existence for generations. So what I was trying to say is that we are, I believe in my personal, like, as educated as I am, so like nothing compared to what other people know about this, specifically the community that is directly affected by it. But I would say that we are in the current state of affairs in our country is because we have been playing the political team thing, like, oh no, because my team said this, and then now your team is the bad team, and like we've just been at it from that perspective, and that's just obviously not working because it's fucking chaos. It's absolute chaos right now, and so I feel my hope is that among all the injustices that need to be corrected, is that we grow consciousness from across all party lines, because that's just proof that if this Karen in the park is a registered Democrat and has voted blue and all this shit all the criteria that's supposed to check you off from being the good guy if you're a Democrat and a bad guy if you're a Republican, then that's just supposed to show you that these issues are way bigger than political parties, and the shift needs to start there. We need to start acting from a human perspective and not just how's my party gonna win? Like, that shit doesn't matter anymore. Because you know what? If Donald Trump was a Democrat and he was doing the same fucking job, I would be begging for anyone, I don't care who you are, Republican, independent, whatever, to come in and fix this shit.
Well, I mean,
because
to your point, I mean, Steph, were you a registered Republican? I know David was, and he's.
I was a registered Republican until a couple of months ago.
Yeah, so
I haven't voted down party lines. I did not vote down party lines in the 2018 election.
We'll go ahead and confirm that right now. Give me a second. Hold on. We're gonna.
I voted for Andrew Gillum for governor.
Oof! Dodged that bullet, did you?
I know. Right?
Oh my god! And you know what's crazy is that that's not even the headline. Like that's
That was a bleep.
If
that was a bleep in the little fucking ticker, and that was a bleep in the ticker.
In the entire 2020 news cycle, that's like, oh, and by the way, this guy got busted in a hotel and he's in rehab, and
in a gay orgy with meth. That's cool. So anyway,
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I unfriended 2 people this week on Facebook, and I don't ever like to be that guy that's like, hey, we have a difference of opinions, and I can't, and it's yours is different than mine, and I gotta unfriend you. I'm not that guy. But like we've been saying,
I'm not either, and really nobody has gotten I've been posting a bunch of shit. Nobody's really gotten combative on my stuff.
It's not about a combative to me. To me, it wasn't even that he got combative. To me, there was a post that I shared from Will Watkins that said, I don't understand how people who are religious or one with God or whatever phrasing he used could still be behind this guy. He, after this dude shot smoke, whatever, and got the crowd out and beat people to move the crowd away so he could, for that photo op in front of that church. And then after tweeting that the 75-year-old Catholic, whatever man, he's something for the Catholic Church. He does something for the Catholic Church. After tweeting that he was an antagonizer in this situation, and
that he fell harder than was pushed.
Literally blaming the victim. Will Watkins' post says something along the lines of like, how can you guys still be in line with this guy? Like if you're one of his followers because of your religious beliefs, which there's people who are like, he was sent from God. If you're seeing these two things happen within days apart from each other, how can you still back this guy up? So I shared that because that to me, there's no opinion in that. There's no opinion. There's these are facts. You're saying you're saying you're a Christian, and these actions do not follow the Christian ideology, right?
They don't align.
They don't align with the Christian ideology. Those aren't really opinions. Those are like facts. We're stating kind of facts. Like, hey, how? And the question is, the only thing that's kind of an opinion is how can you follow this guy? Which is not even an opinion. It's kind of like, how can you follow this guy if he's not aligning, if these actions that he's done, which are facts, are not aligning with your ideology? And one of my friends on Facebook shared this and then posted, we don't believe in the fake news, and I stand behind my president, and blah blah blah. And I was like, and I asked him, I said, what part of this is fake news? Like, I don't understand. So he said, we're never gonna convince each other. I'm like, I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm just asking you a question. Like, you said it was fake news. I'm asking what part of this was fake news. His response was that he never saw the president tear gas anybody. So
I mean, no, he's not going to do it himself.
Yeah,
but he's going to order everybody.
Yeah, I mean, his feet hurt. He's not going to fucking point a gun at someone. His feet hurt.
No, so he can't even hold up the Bible right. Get out of here.
So then he said about the protester. He said, because I said, what part of this is fake news? Because there's video footage of both of these things, so I don't understand. Like, what's going? Like, what part of this is quote unquote fake news? His response was that he never saw the president push or shove anybody or shoot tear gas at anybody. And as far as the 75,
I didn't see Obama shoot Bin Laden in the face, but Obama fucking killed Bin Laden for all intents and purposes.
And then he says this is the part that got me. This is the part that really bothered me, because you want to stay in semantics. That's fine. That's you're semantically correct. He did not shoot anybody with tear gas. He did not hit any protesters. Him himself. You want to stay in that semantics line? That's fine. This is the part the part that got me. He said, as far as a 75-year-old man, you see a cop, get out of the way. And that just, I was like, I'm done. I can't. I'm like, that the fact that you are now literally blaming the victim, and using that as an excuse for
That's like
the
she wore
president.
a slutty.
Yeah.
That is the equivalent of she wore a slutty dress, so she was asking for it.
So not only was she asking for it, but then the president tweeting that she's probably a whore is okay. Like, what the fuck? And I was like, I can't. And it's what Stephanie, is what your husband said, what David said. He's like, this is no longer we're disagreeing on political. This is your morals are really not aligned. Like, I can't be around people like you anymore. This is not a difference of opinions. This is now you are.
This is not a difference of opinion. It's a matter of human respect, and it's literally a matter of life and death.
Correct.
It's literally a matter of life and death, and you're either on the side of literal humanity or you're not. And it is what it is.
It is what it is, and unfortunately, like, I think that the problem is so complex. It's complicated because there's still an argument on whether or not there's a problem. You know what I mean? Because if we all agreed there was a problem, then there'd be kind of a unification of the direction we're going. But if I still have to explain to you, like, why I would say something is systemic, or why I would defend an entire population of people that have been brutalized for centuries, then that already we're off to a bad start. I don't think that there's anything we're not going to land anywhere where it's going to make sense. The encouraging part to me has been that I'm usually a minority when it comes to my political opinions and ideologies. Not usually. I'm always the minority.
Within your circle of friends, you mean?
Within my circle of friends, yeah.
Right.
And
because nationally, we won the popular vote. But go ahead. Sure.
Yeah, but I've typically, and I mean, like, for years, I would say almost a decade, that it's been like that, and I've always been the one that's outnumbered, and I kind of just trained myself to just check out whenever these discussions are, because I don't like taking on the whole room. It's exhausting, and there's no point. But what's encouraging to me is that a lot of my friends who have traditionally been diehard, like, party patriots and, like, across the board, like, hell no, I'm seeing them shift in a really, really encouraging way. And I think that just speaks volumes to the kind of momentum that this situation brings. And hopefully from this point, we can just build from here. I think that it's hard because I personally, like, I get sensory overload, so I have to step away because it's too much. But I'm seeing now a shift where, like, for weeks, and rightfully so, again, for weeks, it's like people are just yelling and sharing and screaming at the top of their lungs, and they're absolutely in their right to be outraged. But now I'm seeing kind of a shift where people are getting to the activism side of things, the donating, the educating yourself. And there's a lot of things that all of us have to confront. I don't think that my position as a Hispanic person really gives me a lot of privilege to identify with the cause as, like, I've experienced it. But I also think that everyone needs to take time to kind of identify. Nobody is perfect in this. Nobody is 100% foolproof on how they stand, because I've come to now understand that I always thought that, like, because I'm Hispanic, then there's no way that I could be part of the problem, because I'm a minority too, and Hispanics are, like, immigrants are in cages still, years later. We're not talking about it because obviously right now is not the time, but it's still happening. But there's a lot of racism that needs to be confronted within other communities, that it's not just white people. And that's an important aspect that needs to be explored, I think, for Hispanics generally. And so I'm encouraged to see that a lot of people are out there and, like, bringing this conversation to the table, because it needs to be had. But I'm also encouraged that a lot of people that are traditionally been very stubborn about their political views are turning on the other side and kind of understanding why this is such an issue. So hopefully only good things happen from here. Your audio
Your audio is breaking up. Maybe go from your bedroom down to the fucking office. I don't know.
I can't go to the fucking office because my kid decided to wake up from a 4-hour nap now.
Oh, yeah. My son might do that soon.
Is that better?
Yeah. Maybe just go to a cell phone is what I was saying. But, yeah.
Okay. Well, fine. To answer your question, yes, I was a registered Republican. I didn't officially unregister until probably March. I kept it for a little bit because I was like, I'm going to fight it from the inside. But it was going to be like a mole because I thought that I was doing like some, I don't know, fucking underground work. What the fuck is wrong with me? But anyway, yeah, I remember, it's weird because I remember like being a kid and knowing things that I didn't agree with that were very Republican ideologies. And like, I remember being a kid and being like, but there should be less guns available to people. And I remember things like that. Like, I remember thinking it was like perfectly logical that schools should be better funded. And then like, I kind of grew up in this Kennedy Cuban, which for people that don't know what that is, it's kind of like the Cuban community that aligns itself after the effects of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Cubans are traditionally not, or at least the older generation of Cubans traditionally are not Democrats because Kennedy they feel like Kennedy kind of like failed them when the Cuban Missile Crisis, failed. So I kind of grew up to be like in that same school of thought, and then was kind of like that until maybe 4 years ago. It probably maybe a little bit before that. There was, I don't know. It was a slow change, and then it was just like, no, we're not going to do this anymore. Right around, you know what? It was probably right around the time the Tea Party really became like a big deal, and that whole thing. I remember seeing a Time magazine article of like Ronald and Nancy Reagan, and like the headline of it, like how did this happen to the Republican Party, and just how it got so thrown out of crazy.
I think
like,
sensationalized is the word I would use.
Yeah, it's become like a, you know how you say like people become caricatures of themselves, like correct. I feel like the party has become a caricature of itself. And while I still have some like loose, I would consider myself, I'm not party affiliated now. I would consider myself probably more a less leaning moderate. But that's just kind of.
But there's tests for that. You could take a test. No, I'm serious. You could take a test to see where you line up on the spectrum as far as
I
left
thought
or
you were
right.
joking.
No.
No, I know where I line up. I know where I line up. So,
But yeah, you said I would say. I'm like, well, there's a way that somebody would
maybe
say.
she doesn't want to say right now.
No, but she literally said I would say I line up. I'm like, well, why don't you just take the test and let the test say where you line up. So
the tests are always right, and the tests always, are always 100%.
well, that's anybody that has a high IQ would always tell you that they're right.
Well, I don't know any people like that, so I don't know.
I'm telling you, that's the thing. If you watch Adam Ruins Everything, IQ tests are bullshit, and that's what I'm trying to say.
He's talking about Adam Ruins Everything.
He's sponsoring the show. He's sponsoring the show, guys.
Where's my check? Then where's my check?
Wait.
Well, you haven't been on in 3 months, so there that goes. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a whole shit thing. It's a whole shit thing. Yeah, there's a lot of good that's come from it. There's a lot of I think the overwhelming support from everybody. I think is fantastic. I really do.
I there are people in my family that I'm not going to get into specifics, but there are people in my family that I am like flabbergasted about how far they've come, and as far as just finally waking the fuck up. You know?
Yeah, no, I've talked about that. I've talked about that in the past too. I agree. Like I've talked about how my parents who have been Republican because they're Hispanic and they have to be. It's like a law. If you're over a certain age and you're Hispanic and you live in the country, you have to be a Republican apparently. And they've been a Republican since the days of Reagan, and they did not vote for this guy. And I was afraid to even bring up the subject the day of the election, the night of the election. And she goes, I didn't like anything of what he had to say. He just seems like an evil person. And I was like, holy fuck. And I remember it was I got emotional. I was like, oh my God, my mom. She's like, I don't like anything of what he has to say. She's like, he doesn't seem right. And that's all she said. It wasn't like she was like, fuck this guy. This guy's like, she was like, he just, something about him doesn't seem right. It doesn't sit well with me. I don't like the guy. He doesn't, what things he said, I couldn't latch on. She told me, she couldn't hold on to any one thing and be like, look, this is the one thing I'm going to like about him. She goes, I just couldn't do it. I'm like, oh, great. And then now when this whole thing is happening, my dad was like, this is what happens when you give people guns and a badge, man. And I was like, oh shit. Learn a lot about your parents during these times. Learn a lot about your parents. And then
you learn a lot about other family members too, because I had a conversation with somebody last week, somebody that I respect in my family, which I know I talk a lot of shit about my crazy ass mom, but this is not the person I'm talking about. But this is somebody that I actually respect, and it was very sobering to hear the things that they were saying because they're so fucking wrong. But they've always been somebody that's been like in a position of respect for me, like on a parental level. So it's hard for me to be like, oh, like, I don't know. It's hard for me to be like, you're fucking wrong. And these are the reasons why, but they are. And I can't not wait Thanksgiving's going to be weird is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, if we can have Thanksgiving this year. Spotless.
Oh, she fell? Did she leave? Or she's not here?
I don't know.
Missy?
Did the Rona get you?
I think her mom was talking. Her mom felt. She's like, "Are you talking shit about?" And she fucking came in.
She like sensed it, like the force.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Hello, Missy? Missy? I mean, she's still technically there because the face is there. If the face wasn't there, it would be like, you know. Okay. Apparently not.
No,
there
that's
she
okay.
is.
It'll be just you and me, BFF.
She's joining us again. There it is. Massa. Did you change to your computer?
Did you die?
Did you change to your computer, Missy? What the fuck is happening?
Is it like the Blair Witch Project over there?
What's happening?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear. Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Hello? We could hear you.
Yeah. I hear you, but very far away. My headphones died.
Get closer. Sight gags are the best. Sight gags are the best.
Okay.
So.
That's better.
Anyway. So yeah, it's been a fucked up time. We stand with the Black Lives Matter movement. We stand with that wholeheartedly.
I would be out there protesting if I didn't have an autistic, asthmatic husband who, if I brought home Rona to, could die. So
didn't you guys already have Rona?
I think I did.
He was telling me of the time. He was telling me of the time that you guys got sick in January. He was telling me all the symptoms, like all the boxes checked off.
We got really sick in February. Yeah, we did. This is true. I can't get an antibody test because I was never officially diagnosed. So I've tried. It won't give it to me. So I'll never know.
Yeah, I live with my. I really wanted to be out there. Protesting, and I live with my parents who are 75 and 71, and I can't. But with that said, the Snyder Cut
I
is coming out,
donate to,
so just gonna go ahead and put that out
donate to
there.
a bail fund, though.
Oh yeah, I donated to one of the George Floyd funds. By the way, it's in as of right now at the time of this recording. I don't know how much longer it's gonna be up there because I got a show that I gotta promote. I know it sounds tacky, but it's the fucking truth. But my Instagram, in my bio, my Instagram for the last couple of weeks or for the last however long it's been going on has been a bunch of links to where you can go to donate. Snyder Cut, people. Snyder Cut is coming out, and I know I don't know if any of you care. Stephanie doesn't look like she gives a fuck because she is putting her hair in front of her face.
I mean, I'll probably end up watching it because I live with Dave. You know, I didn't think Justice League was awful. I didn't think it was the best.
I legitimately liked Justice League. However,
more than liked it. You got up from your chair. I was next to you. You got up from your chair. And you said this was perfect, and it was okay. But it was
I thought it was great. I thought it was great. Yeah, that's liking the movie. I like the movie a lot. I don't know.
Fine, but it was not perfect.
I with what they gave me, I thought it was great. I don't think I ever used the word perfect. I think that I used the word perfect when it describes Superman in it. The way Superman is portrayed in that movie, I think, is the best on-screen Superman ever. His character, his belief, like that whole thing is portrayed perfectly. I think that's the only time I would use the word perfect. Perfect for a movie is a lot. Like that's Godfather 2 level.
Okay.
Logan was perfect.
Okay.
And I don't even say the word perfect. I say masterpiece is my word.
You said masterpiece, yeah. No.
And I definitely did not say
Logan
masterpiece for Justice League.
I like
did not say masterpiece for Justice League. Never said that. That's crazy talk.
Yeah, I mean the mustache stuff was bad.
I didn't even think that was awful. I don't even know why people had such a huge fucking problem with it. It's like this. That's like the antithesis of nitpicking to me. I was like, oh, who gives a fuck?
Well, here's the thing: is that I didn't notice it while we were first watching it, but then when I saw it a second, like once it was like released and we saw it a second time, I noticed it, and now it's like one of those things that's like the glass has been shattered and now you can't unsee it.
Yeah, but I noticed it when it first happened, and first of all, I didn't. I was like, wait, was that it? When it passed, I was like, wait, was that it? And then, because I knew about it because of, Twitter and stuff. And then the second time I saw it, I go, oh, yeah, that is it. But even noticing it, who cares? Like, I didn't think it was I'm like, okay, that's it. Like, it's like, to me, a little nugget that the moviegoers knew because we knew, you know what I mean? It's like when you're watching Back to the Future and you go, oh, that's not actually Michael J. Fox's hand. That's the other guy's hand who was in the movie for 2 weeks before he got fired. Like, who cares? Who gives a fuck? Like, it's to me, it's a little nugget of information that does not take away from the movie at all whatsoever in any capacity. With that said, enough about that movie because we're talking about Justice League, the Snyder Cut, which has been greenlit, which I'm totally a fan of. Again, not saying that this movie is going to be better. Not saying, again, just to reiterate, I do like the movie that we got, the Justice League movie that we got. I'm really psyched about being able. I don't even know why I don't know if it's because I'm a performer myself, but I love the fact that an artist is getting a chance to put out the movie, to put out the product that he was A, told he was allowed to put out, and B, to rectify a wrong. And I love that. I love the fact that they are giving him a chance to do that. I'm like,
but didn't he have to leave the project because he had like family shit going on, not because of anything else?
No, it was kind of like I think we should see other people. Like, oh, good, because I've been fucking somebody else. It's kind of like. So the official,
his daughter,
the official thing, his daughter committed suicide, and they had wrapped on principal photography, so he had to take a moment for family time. Wow, that was loud, Mary. He had to take a moment for family time, right. And then at that moment, they were like, oh, good, because we weren't really liking where it was going. And so this is like the studio. There's two specific people in the studio that then said, okay, we'll bring in Joss Whedon because he's Mr. Avengers. And we're going to, and then they did the reshoots. He directed all the reshoots. And he pretty much there's a lot of things that were in the script that were not. Oh, and then the studio was like, we want to cut it down to exactly under 2 hours, no more than 2 hours. And the movie ended up being exactly 2 hours, which Snyder was going to do a 3 hour movie. And they were like, nah. And he was like, all right. So
I think that when I first heard about this thing, I was curious because I didn't really understand what the back and forth was about it. And then I did kind of a deep dive. And I think I'm with Mary on this because I feel like he deserves, the Snyder Cut isn't really so much about getting a better movie, but so much as giving Zack Snyder his what's due to him. He had a vision for it. It was kind of steamrolled and taken from him unofficially, but that's what it looks like because it just seems like DCU doesn't really have, and I think I talked to you about this scenario, that DCU doesn't have like some kind of set vision on what they want to do with these movies. They kind of just like.
Well, the problem is that they I think, and I'm a huge fan of DC movies, but I'm a huge fan of DC comics in general, but the problem is that they have a vision because he set out a vision. Originally, Justice League was supposed to be a 2-part movie. It was supposed to be Justice League Part 1, and then a year later, Justice League Part 2 come out. And the problem is that the studio gets very nervous when, by box office numbers, they get swayed. So they go, no, we're not going to do that anymore. Oh, we got to make it funnier. Oh, we got to do and they just start correcting shit on the fly where they're like, well, but I had a fucking vision. This is my vision that I had. And the payoff is going to be bigger than the setup. Like, it just, you got to give me. And they were like, nah. That's my opinion on them. It's like they try to overcorrect. And when they overcorrect, so what happens is they're like, oh, we got to make it funnier. And then they go way to the other side where it's like, now you're losing out specifics and details about things. You know what I mean? There were things that were set up in Batman versus Superman that were supposed to be clarified in Justice League, and they weren't because he wasn't giving a chance to. Like, this is the whole thing. So, yeah, it's a lot of overcorrecting.
I think that as there just doesn't seem to be a very clear direction from the studio on what they want to do and who's in charge. And I think that's a lot of times where these movies end up falling short in certain areas. I don't think that there's a bad DCU movie. I kind of enjoy all of them. But I would love to see some kind of creative direction that's like uniform a little, because, and Mary's saying this to me that before Marvel Studios was bought by Disney, they were their own,
Yeah. No, I knew that. So, which is why Spider-Man was at Sony and why the Fantastic Four and X-Men were with Fox. They were kind of just like, they would sell to the highest bidder.
But what I'm saying is that because Marvel Studios was its own entity and kind of just fell under the umbrella as a subsidiary of Disney, then they were able to hold some kind of a creative autonomy and just over the organization as to how they were going to roll these movies out, this franchise out. And it doesn't seem to me that the people at DCU have the same kind of setup.
No, they don't. What it seems to me, and this is just my opinion, what it seems to me is like, well, we've had some success with, these movies in the past, and we want to continue making them. And then they kind of got blindsided by how well Marvel was doing, and they've just been playing catch up ever since. And in the attempt to do that, have been like sacrificing the quality.
Look, I would agree to that, because I just think that if you're, as a creative person, like us three in our own right, we are creative people, and there's a difference between being competitive because you want to do well and being competitive because you want to be better than somebody else. And so if you, and your creativity suffers because of that. It doesn't matter what the fuck you do. It's just going to suffer. So I'm excited to see what his vision was. I fully support it. I would love to see more development. I don't know. I think with Justice League, like, I'm fine. I like it, and I don't regularly watch it for like specific scenes. But I'm like good with getting his vision. I think that it's rightfully his, and I just think just from a creative perspective, like, deserves to put out his vision, and I feel like it has to be. Even though Justice League is a good movie, and I wouldn't pan it, I would still say that Zack Snyder's is gonna be better, only because the one thing I can say about Justice League is that it feels like, and it makes sense given all the changes that happened, post production and everything. But it makes sense that it feels like it's like
disjointed.
4 parts, like, yeah, it's like not. It doesn't sync. So it's like, maybe if Zack Snyder like gets behind the wheel and just puts out his, then we can get like something that makes sense. But it feels like it's cut and pasted in certain areas where there's an opportunity to make it flow a little bit better.
Right.
But I'm here for it. I'm excited for it.
I genuinely didn't know about like the other stuff. I thought, he had family issues with, what happened to his daughter, and he needed to go take care of business, and they, just kind of moved on without him. I didn't know that it was kind of like an underhanded thing anyway. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I'll watch it. I'm gonna watch it. I don't know how I'll feel about it, but
That's just. I really hope that movie theaters reopen soon, because I miss leaving my house. But also, there were a lot of good movies that were coming out this year that we're not gonna get, and I'm banking on Top Gun, like them letting it wide release in theaters, hopefully, because that seems like a fun movie to watch in the movies. But I'm really bummed that we're losing out. I mean, obviously, like, super first world problems compared to everything else that's going on. But there are like a lot of good movies. Like, we got like Black Widow finally was gonna have her movie.
Oh, finally.
It's like ready. It's like all they needed to do was to fucking release the premiere and here, and it's like, no, pandemic.
Nary and I talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the quarantine, I guess, if you want to call it that. I feel, and he kind of agreed with me, that this might be the beginning of the end of the movie theater industry. Not the movie industry, but the movie theater industry. I think people are just going to get used to the longer this goes on, the more shit they're going to start releasing on demand, because they can't hold these movies forever. And people are going to get used to watching shit at home, like brand new shit. You give people the opportunity to not leave their couches, and they won't.
Yeah, but I hope that. Oh, I
hope I'm wrong, because I enjoy going to the movies. It's one of the things we really like to do. I really thoroughly enjoy going to the movies with my friends, with my family. Like, we've always been like that. I think, or at least maybe the beginning of the end of the regular movie theater. The luxury experience movie theater has kind of taken over a lot in the last few years. And I don't frankly feel like paying literally double for a ticket. So I do that occasionally. We've gone a couple of times, but it's not a regular thing for us to go to one of those theaters. So I would be in the boat of, well, if I have the choice to stay at home and watch the same movie or pay $30-$40 for a movie ticket, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Paying $30-$40 for the movie?
No.
I like going out. To me, that's our going out time. I like going to the movie theaters, and even if it costs, even if it costs more money, even if it's one of those specialty things, I'd rather do that sometimes.
Yeah, but you can't do that. At least for me, like, I wouldn't be able to do that as often as I do a regular movie.
I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. Well, again, we're talking about pre-pandemic. Yeah, I could do that all the time. Now I'm broke as fuck. Motherfuckers trying to get a job. Speaking of which, we have merchandise. If you want to go to tpublic.com and just look up WuBro, we have a lot of WuBro merchandise from a lot of the different podcasts, including Mamas and Merlot, Geekmore, WuBro, and What You Got. So make sure you check that out. And the WuBro logo itself. You can get it on t-shirts and mugs and pillows and fucking whatever you want. There's even pandemic masks that you could do that. So go ahead. What were you saying before that shameless plug that I don't give a fuck?
I'm not talking about like the movie theater down the streets in your house that we all go to that has $5 movie Tuesdays.
Yeah, but I don't do the movie. I don't do the $5 movie Tuesday anyways. I know it's not. It's not a huge. I don't do the movie Tuesdays. The only time I do it is when I want to go with Missy, and Missy's like, I gotta go on Tuesday. I'm like, why the fuck is it a big deal? I'm like, what's the?
On Tuesday,
it's a big deal.
Yeah,
It's a good deal. I'm talking about like.
I go. No, I know what you're talking about. I know you're talking about Cine Bistro and stuff like that, and that's fine.
Not even Cine Bistro. I'm talking about the ones that are like even beyond that, like the iPick, like those that are like,
that's under
Landmark and like those crazy like that. It's literally $30 just for the ticket.
I don't know. I hope it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't either. Like I said, I hope it doesn't, but I think it might.
Where else?
There's something about letting your friend pick a movie and it's gonna be bad, but you're friends, so you go anyway. And like 30 seconds in, you're like, "Told you."
Oh shit! Breaking news: the A&E has now canceled Live PD.
Huh?
The show,
Live PD.
the show Live PD, which was police, like it was literally just like cops but live, and it was like a 24-hour feed, has been canceled by A&E.
Well, Cops got canceled too.
Well, no, I know, but I literally had this thought where they canceled the show Cops, and I was like, oh, people are just going to go now to Live PD. Like, I just had that thought, but A&E was like, not so fast.
Nope.
Not so fast.
No, sir.
Actually, what they told Live PD was freeze. You're canceled. With your hands in the air, turn around.
And wave them like you just don't care.
Wave them like you just don't care. Wow, that's a pretty big deal, I thought.
That shows are all garbage, though. Like, I'm glad that they're getting canceled.
Speaking of garbage shows, can Stephanie, you be either proud or disappointed? I don't know. I am one who has been firmly against reality TV shows from the jump. Like, I've watched a few, and I'm like, oh, these are all fake. They're all fucking garbage. And then,
Danger.
and I'm just like, no. But I've said this before. Like, this is not news. Like, I've said this before. And then a friend of mine the other day, we were talking, and she posted a meme or something, and I was like, yo, I'm seeing a meme. I'm seeing this dude. Who's this dude? And she was like,
the guy with no neck.
She was like, you don't know Big Ed? And I'm like, no, I don't know Big Ed. Who the fuck is Big Ed? She's like, dude, that's from 90 Day Fiance. And I'm like, what the fuck is 90 Day Fiance? So she tells me what the show is, and she's like, you gotta watch this. It's complete trash, and you have to watch it. So I said, all right, whatever. So one day, Vanessa and I are on the couch, and I was like, oh, what? My friend told me about the show. Let's watch the show. And she's like, all right, whatever. So we started watching it. And like within 10 minutes, Vanessa turns to me. She goes, I don't know if I could watch this. She's like, this is too trashy. This is like too far out on the trash spectrum. And I was like, okay. And then 3 hours later, we're like, what's the next episode? And now we've watched the entire season 4, and holy fuck. What a glorious flaming pile of trash. What it was, just train wreck on fucking wheels. It's like, it's not even like a train wreck like, oh, it's a huge crash. It's like this train wreck is like a portable train wreck that just keeps fucking going. It's like, imagine a huge train wreck that has not stopped, that's still fucking in transit, and you keep following it. You go, no, I gotta keep. You fucking get in your car and you go, no, I got it. It wasn't enough that I just looked at this flaming pile of shit. I gotta watch it as it proceeds to get even bigger. So yeah, that's my thing.
So can I tell you something?
Sure.
I have never seen an episode of 90 Day Fiance.
It's so fantastic. We're literally where we just the season recap. The season finished yesterday, and we are thinking about going into previous seasons. That's how much addicting this show is. It's so trash.
I too agree with how you guys' sentiments at the beginning of this, that I do have a threshold for reality TV, and that is too far. That's where I draw the line.
I don't, here's what I told Vanessa.
I used to watch a lot more of the TLC shows. I used to watch like Sister Wives, and I used to watch Sister Wives was great. I used to watch Sister Wives. What else did I used to watch? There was something else on there. I used to watch. I can't remember. But like, I never got into 90 Day Fiance. Just like I never got into like Little Women.
What's Little Women?
Which is the most not the least offensive way that I think I can describe this. It's the same concept of Housewives, but they're all little people.
Oh, okay. Here's the thing. I don't like reality shows, and I guess I'm jaded because I know, especially the ones locally, the ones that film locally, like the Miami, the South Beach towing, and Jersey Shore when I was down here. I guess I'm jaded because I know those are fake, because I have friends that have gone out and auditioned for those roles. So it's one of those things where you go, oh, this is fake. So I'm just like, eh. And you can spot like the fakeness of shit, right? But with 90 Day Fiance, I'm like, is this real? Like, did they fucking and apparently these people are fucking that they want to find love from somebody who lives in a different country, and I think it's fucking great. I think it's great. There's still a couple of things that as I was watching the show, I'm savvy enough to know. I was like, oh, thank God thank God she was mic'd up. Like it's shit like that, you know. But for the most part, for the most part, I'm more willing to at least suspend disbelief to think that this is more real than other reality shows, and I'm okay with it. I'm like, all right, I'm okay with this. But I think it's.
I really am
trash.
not even that much of a reality TV junkie. I know people think I am, but I really.
But you like the Housewives, and I think that's all garbage.
I like the Housewives. No, I watch all of the Housewives, and I watch I am also into the dating reality shows, not 90 Day Fiance, but I do watch The Bachelor, all iterations of The Bachelor. And I've seen on Netflix, there's Love is Blind, which is fucking fantastic, and Too Hot to Handle, which was a heap of trash. Can
I just tell you real quick? You said Too Hot to Handle. There's a show that A&E has that's called Hot and Heavy, or no. Hot and Heavy. That's the name of the show. Hot and Heavy.
What's the concept?
One person's hot.
Oh. Well, Too Hot to Handle.
They show different couples. They show different couples, and one of the person in the couple is hot, and the other one. The other one is not.
Well, Too Hot to Handle. Too Hot to Handle it's supposedly I haven't really ever watched British reality shows. I've heard that the British reality shows make the American as far as trashiness level, that the British reality shows make the American reality shows look like daycare. But this one feels like how a British reality show I would have to imagine feels. But it's basically they take these 10 people and they put them in some resort somewhere, and the whole thing is that they're not supposed to they can't have sexual contact, so they're supposed to fall in love, but they're not supposed to kiss or touch or do anything
Isn't that the same premise as the other show on Netflix, the thing, isn't that
Love is Blind?
Yeah, isn't that the same premise?
No, but Love is Blind was a little bit different. Love is Blind was they spend 10 days in this dating experiment where they basically they want to see the whole concept of the show is if you can fall in love with somebody just by getting to know them. If you take looks out of the equation, can you still fall in love with somebody? The problem with this was that all of them were hot. So does it really matter? Because there was not one average looking person. Right. There was not one unfortunate average looking person. Everybody was hot. Everybody was super fit. So it was
yeah, I had a friend one time years ago. We were at the Miami Improv, and he was one of the headliners, or he was the headliner. And he was, a good-looking dude, and he got his fair share of female fans. And the woman that he was with, not in a relationship, but the woman that he was with, as far as she took care of his merch and all this shit there, like a road manager, for lack of a better word. She was like, I was proud of him yesterday. He didn't go home with the hotter chick. He didn't go home with the 10. And I was like, ooh, well, what to take one for the team, bro. You went for the 8 instead of the 10. And he could not stop laughing. He was like, I did do that, didn't I? And he was just it's pretty fucking hilarious. Yeah, when you have no average looking people and they're all who gives a fuck at this point? You're just,
So, okay, so let's see if you can fall with the least hot person.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, you got stuck with the 8, bro. Who gives a shit?
Exactly. I'm currently watching one that's airing on Fox because the selections there's like slim pickings these days.
No, there's not. There's a lot of seasons of 90 Day Fiance, and there's like 4 different 90 Day Fiance shows. There's 90 Day 90 Day Fiance before the 90 days. There's 90 Day Fiance. There's 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After, and then there's 90 Day Fiance specific ones where they follow specific couples throughout that have like now morphed into their own. Like they've come out like they're the Laverne and Shirley to the Happy Days. They have like this is my show now.
There's also, I don't know if you mentioned it, but it's the 90 Day Fiance. It's called the 90 Day Fiance The Other Way.
Oh, yeah. That's another one. That's another one, right? Where they come to America.
Traditionally, in the 90 Day Fiance reality, the person they meet and then the American citizen will fly in the person from the other country.
This is just people that want green cards. Is that what this is?
Well, what happens? So what happens is the reason for the title. I looked it up the other day. Is that the K1 visa gives you 90 days from when you get
right.
You gotta
that's like the standard travel visa. Yeah.
Right. It's the marriage visa. It's the one where you have to get married and then you get it within 90 days of. They give you a visa and then they give you 90 days to get married. So with 90 Days Fiance, what the premise is that they fall in love online because that's where everybody falls in love now, online, and then when they go meet in person, they get married, so then they could get the K1 marriage visa. So that's the whole premise. And then they follow like, oh, are you really, you know what I mean? And then you go like, oh, it's different when you meet somebody in person than when we've been talking for a year online. Like, yeah, but you're not, it's different in person. So that's the whole perspective. That's the whole thing.
Got it.
I mean,
watch one on Fox called Labor of Love. That's
earlier you said that you're not a.
I don't watch a lot of shows really, and you rattled off 14 different fucking shows. That's hilarious to me.
Also, aren't you in mourning this week because the lady in the she got fired?
Please respect me in this difficult time. Please respect
Why?
my time during this time.
Did it happen in your personal life? Or
Wait. Who got fired? Who got fired?
I can't. No, I think it's a personal friend of Stephanie.
Who got fired? What happened?
These girls from Vanderpump Rules, which I love that show.
I don't even know that. I've never even heard that fucking show. What the fuck is that?
It's on Bravo.
Yeah.
It's a spin-off
of the Housewives of Beverly Hills.
I go to TLC for my trash. I don't go to Bravo for my trash.
Bravo where you draw the line. You have some dignity.
Stephanie likes highbrow trash.
I do highbrow trash. I like my trash in British.
You know why? It's because your trash is too pretty. Your trash is like, oh, look at me. I have fake silicone this and then, and they're all like, I like my trash to be like, hey, I'm a normal person and I'm trashy. Like, oh, okay, cool.
Can I finish telling you about Labor of Love though? Because this one's good.
Okay.
Oh, that was good.
So this kind of like in the same vein as The Bachelorette, like it's one girl and dating 15 guys. Except the end goal of this one is that the end goal of this one is that she's 41 and she wants to have a baby. So she's basically just trying to find a baby daddy and like hopefully fall in love with him in the process.
Why not just do artificial insemination? I don't understand.
How the Mighty Have Fallen. It is hosted by none other than Kristen Davis, a.k.a. Charlotte York Goldenblatt from Sex and the City.
You don't have to tell me who Kristen Davis is. I know who Kristen Davis is. I'm a Charlotte.
That wasn't for the listener.
I'm a Charlotte.
I know, but that wasn't for you. That was for the listener.
What do you mean the Mighty Have Fallen? She was in one TV show and then made the movies off that one TV show.
Why did you some trashy reality
because
show?
All she's done is one TV show and then the subsequent movies that have come from.
She made enough money for her entire life from that one TV show.
Excuse me. I would like to go back to Mary's statement that he said he's a Charlotte.
Yeah, legit.
I believe it.
You're not a Charlotte.
I'm a complete Charlotte. I'm a romantic. I'm a sap. I'm a Charlotte. Yeah.
I have to agree. I don't often want to side with him, but I have to agree.
I don't think you're
but
you're just not because I'm Miranda.
Huh?
Are you a
He's
Miranda?
just mad 'cause he's 100% a Miranda.
Yeah,
I don't see it. I don't see it.
Harry.
I agree. Angry, bitter, probably haven't shaved.
It's
Yeah, it's a
Because
thing.
Fuck you. I'm not angry or fit.
Listen,
I like the fact that you didn't say anything about the shaving. You're like, fuck you, I'm not angry or bitter.
I seriously Steve all the time. Thank you very much.
listen, it's okay because in retrospect and in hindsight, Miranda was always right. So
No. She was not right scaring fucking big, and she was not right in hiding the fact that she scared big.
you're right. She wasn't right. No, she's not the one that. Oh, she did scare big. I'm like, yeah. No, she wasn't right with that. But throughout the course of the show, like most of the time, Miranda's right.
She's the worst. She really is the worst, though.
Miranda sucks.
She really is the
like
worst.
in the show, she sucks.
Yeah. What was I going to tell you? Here's the thing what you don't know. HBO shows, they don't pay, what's that thing called? Where you get money?
Residuals?
Yeah, they don't pay residuals.
Oh, I didn't know that.
HBO does not pay residuals because within HBO, they replay the same episode 14 fucking times in a week. So they would
Right.
they don't pay residuals because because they themselves even like when the episode is brand new. The episode aired on Sunday. It's gonna play again another 10 times before the next episode airs.
Right, that I know.
So
they just pay them like a flat.
So they paid them a flat fee because they would never. Can you imagine how much money they would have to pay everybody? Because every time a new episode comes out of every show, they replay that episode 1,000 times
But
just that first
that's
week
fine.
alone.
So, but I wonder if maybe. So maybe not for their own network, but like it's also in syndication. Like it airs.
I think that's where they will get some money. Like when it was on TBS or some shit like that. I think that's when they will get some money. But I don't.
It used to be on. It used to be on WB all the time, and it used to be on CBS or TNT.
WB. WB wasn't
it wasn't-
around.
that's
WB
how I-
was not around when this fucking show. TBS. You mean
That
TBS?
No, I mean the WB. The WB. After it ended in like the mid 2000s, it started airing. Because look, I never saw Sex and the City in its original run because like when it started, I was too young. And even though like we had HBO
I
in
watched
my
it.
house,
I watched it. I watched it in
wasn't allowed to watch
the
it.
first run. Yeah, I watched it.
I wasn't allowed to watch it, so I didn't really get into it. I think it ended in 2004, 2006. I didn't start watching it until a couple of years later when they started. It went into syndication like on the WB. Like it was late, like at 11:30, and it was still edited as fuck. Like it was super edited.
I remember the first time that I saw it on syndication was TBS. That's where I first saw it, and of course,
it went to CBS
edited.
also.
Yeah.
It went to CBS also, but I'm like pretty sure it was also, and that's when I got into it. I got into it then, like super edited, and then I went back. This is how old we are.
So I don't know
I
how.
went back and started.
I don't know how they get paid about as far as residuals go. I know for a fact that HBO doesn't pay residuals on their shows. So because I've heard that from other people who've been on HBO shows, who've been actually, you know who said that? You know who I heard confirm? I've heard it before from somebody else on a podcast that's been on HBO. But you know who played that? The guy who played Charlotte's husband. He was on the podcast. He was on the podcast and Oval. He was on a podcast and Oval morning show, and then they talked about you must be rolling. He's like, nah, HBO doesn't pay residuals.
Oh, Evan Goldberg, I think is his name.
In real life, or is that his?
In real life, he's Harry Goldenblatt.
Yeah. He's
Not in real life. So he's Harry Goldenblatt.
I
In real
know.
life,
I know what you meant. He was also in that movie Californication, in that show Californication, which was fucking amazing. But yeah. I don't think Charlotte was an amazing. I don't think like he like how the mighty have fallen. She was in one show and 2 movies from that subsequent TV show. So
well, that's why I did. Why, but that's I was assuming they got some kind of residual syndication.
maybe
deal.
they do. Maybe off of the different networks. I'm not sure, but I know HBO. I've heard that from 2 sources that were on HBO. They were like, no, they don't. And it makes sense.
Right.
Like when you start thinking about it, you're like, yeah, HBO does replay their own shit a million times. Can you imagine how much money they would have to fucking pay? That would be absurd.
Yeah.
So, but maybe TBS and maybe on the other networks. Who knows? What up, Missy? We had something else that we wanted to talk about. What is it? I gave you a list. Oh, can we talk about? No, I rather. You know what? I'm going to talk about that later on. What J.K. Rowling said. I want to have somebody from the LGBTQ plus community on here to like educate me because I don't see what she said was crazy. But I know I'm wrong. But I want to be educated. So I want to have somebody explain that to me. So, but it's too late to call somebody. So that's a thing.
Okay.
Missy, what was the other thing?
You brought up to not talk about it.
I mean, I feel weird talking about a situation where none of us are
No,
like
get
it's
it.
like
I
it's
get
like
what you're saying. I'm just
yeah, it's like, hey, so let's talk about the what black people have gone through.
wait.
It was kind
I actually don't want to talk about
yeah. So there was something else and I forgot. Fuck.
I don't know. What?
I don't remember what it was.
Didn't he send you a list? He claims he sent you. a list.
No, we talked about it. We talked about like a couple things before we came on the phone call. But
We're so.
I know, so professional. If you, I'm gonna take a. Let me see. This is it. There you go.
What are you doing?
Oh, I just took a picture of you.
Of me?
Yeah. As you.
No.
As you. Just a screenshot of Stephanie not giving a fuck about this call and laying down on her bed, putting what seemed to be chapstick. I don't know. That was the
No,
thing.
with my AirPods.
You would do something with you're like.
I was just doing-
I was like, okay. Clearly,
No.
she doesn't give a fuck. But yeah.
I do give a fuck. I just didn't know.
All right, so guys, thank you for checking us out. I think an hour and 24 minutes is good. And it's been a lot of heavy shit, and we try to lighten it up with trash at the end. But I really want you guys.
Oh, I also I meant to say this earlier when we were talking about the heavy stuff, but part of the craziness of all of this, just to bring it up briefly, part of the craziness of all of this is that we've the protests have inadvertently enacted the Third Amendment, which is crazy because the last time that even needed to be used was during the Revolutionary War. For people that aren't familiar with what the Third Amendment is, it's
Thou shalt not cover thy
basically-
neighbor's wife.
No. It's basically that citizens cannot be forced to quarter soldiers, which would happen back in the olden times when, we would fight, when militias were basically forced to be housed within people's homes or businesses. And since the National Guard was called in to D.C. from different states, they were basically being told by the government that they had to, like, that the hotels in D.C. had to house them, had to basically put them up for free. And since businesses are privately owned, they don't have the right to do that. So they had to enact their Third Amendment rights for the first time in like 200 years, which is fucking bananas.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit that's bananas. There's a private militia out there in all black with no fucking insignias out there. Fucking.
No, the Antifa stuff is like bullshit. Like there's this Antifa is not like a real organization. Like there's no leader. It's just kind of like they're creating some kind of terrorist organization to like just have somebody to blame. If you look at the Antifa.com website, it's like 100% looks like Russian propaganda. So that's interesting. I'm not saying anything. I'm not like, accusing anybody of anything. It's just like the word comrade is there like 4 times. Which is
No.
weird.
But there's that old 75-year-old man. He's in charge. All right, so.
Yeah, you're right. He fell harder. The guy that fell harder?
Yeah, he felt harder than he
The-
should have,
the-
really. So.
Yeah.
I think he called him I think he inadvertently called him a flopper. Like that's what you call like in basketball or in sports when you hit somebody and they fall. Oh, he flopped. Like that's not. I think that's what he inadvertently called that 75-year-old man. What a fucking flopper.
I've never
huh?
heard that. Man.
Yeah, it's in sports. Like if you get if LeBron James is really good at it. Like he gets fucking touched and he falls back. He falls back all dramatic like and shit. And then it's just so that the referee.
Why?
It's just to get attention from the referee so that the referee could go, oh, that's a foul. Because the hit wasn't
Right,
that bad, but it was a hit, and so he exaggerates. They do that. They do. Everybody does it in soccer. Everybody and their mother does it in soccer where they get touched and they go, ah! they fucking roll around on the floor and do all this shit there. So it's a sports term. It's like, oh, he's a flopper. Like that's a sports term that he flops. And so I think inadvertently this douchebag called the 75-year-old man a flopper. With that said, I will say thank you guys for checking us out. We'll try to have more consistency with WuBro. We've had excellent consistency with Mount Geekmore, but we will try to have more consistency with WuBro. Thank you for checking us out. Check out Stephanie's event planning business at MiamiEventsByYou.com. Yep. And on Instagram at events_by_the letter U. So that's events by you with underscores in between. Check out Missy's writing at Missy the Writer.
MissyWrites.com
Damn, so close.
on Missy the Writer. At Missy the Writer.
At Missy the Writer on Instagram and MissyWrites.com. Check that out. Check out the merch like we talked about before. Check out the merch available on TeePublic. It is available. Go to teepublic.com. Enter the word Geek Bro, and all the merchandise from a lot of the podcasts on the Geek Bro Network are on there. And it's not just t-shirts. It's sweaters, t-shirts, tank tops, phone cases, masks for what do you call those? Breathing masks? What do you call those? Is that a name? Just masks. Everything. So everything's on there. Coffee mugs, pillows, a lot of that shit. So I would love for you guys to check that out because I'm broke as fuck. Haven't had a job in a while. So make sure you guys check that out. If you are in the Miami area, this will be put out on Monday. I want to say the 15th. I want to say what the Monday is. Anybody calendar? Nobody?
Yeah, that's Monday.
Wow, what a fucking guess. So this will be out on Monday the 15th in 5 days on Saturday the 20th. If you are in the Miami area, I will be performing at Umbrella, which is a set of restaurants in the Sunset Place. So check that out.
It's a food hall.
What?
It's a food hall.
It is a food hall, and they have a stage.
And the food is fucking delicious there.
The food looks amazing on Instagram. I have not been there, so I can't verify, but man, that Instagram looks legit.
Oh my God.
And
it's really good.
So make sure you guys check that out. If you're in the Miami area, go to Sunset Place on the 20th, Saturday the 20th, 8 p.m. I will be performing there on stage. It's only going to be my third time back in the last 3 months. So hope you guys go check it out. Thank you very much. And that's how winning is done. Pop culture, and it's funny, motherfucker.